Hello and welcome to the Pixelated Realms Gamescast, your guide through the digital landscape, untangling the mysteries of your favorite titles and discussing the latest and greatest in video game fun. I'm your host, Alex Salerno, and alongside me is my brother Tyler and my good friend Dustin.
Hey,
what's up?
Being very distracting on the video. What's
Lotaro Gar.
He started it.
I was like, I have to find something.
I was like, I have to have an alliance thing here on my desk somewhere, and I couldn't find it. I was like,
All
fuck
right.
it. So the
Should
crowd
have had this.
Oh, I know. Are those is
It's
it
a BlizzCon gift.
Is it a
It's a
cup
cup
holder?
holder.
Yeah. Right.
It's a-
It's like a coaster.
Yeah, coaster.
Coaster.
There we
Yeah. I got
Yeah,
it
it's
at
like a flip
BlizzCon.
coaster.
So, yeah.
go.
Yeah.
One of the cool things. I keep it on the Horde side though, of course.
Oh, okay.
'Cause it would-
I feel like our World of Warcraft episode that's going to be coming up is going to be really good with the new expansion dropping.
Yes, we need to
So-
play.
So prepare your minds for that now, because I'm sure that's just going to be a lot of debates and discussions.
I know if we need to get all three of us in on like a Mythic Plus group or something. Although
These
I
are
have my
really
doubts,
old.
Yeah, right.
This is a 2011 BlizzCon exclusive from Sideshow Collectibles.
I thought you were about to pull out like a wine. Like, oh, this
That
is a
Israel?
vintage Merlot.
And
Or
then I have
Tyrael.
Yeah, Tyrael. And then I have this one also from when Cataclysm
Oh, that's
came
cool.
out,
Is
exclusive.
that definitely?
Wow.
Yeah. So I also have
Honestly,
a StarCraft
yeah.
one too somewhere, of like the dude with the big gun. But I think my kids have it in their room.
The dude with the big gun.
Rainer?
Yeah, it's Rainer. Yeah. I
Rainer.
didn't play it. I didn't play
I don't.
StarCraft.
Now that I've been into Warhammer, though, StarCraft is just not the same. I'm just like, what? Like, how is this not like copyright? Like, I'm just so confused because
I
like
mean-
the Terrans in StarCraft literally have this power armor. Like, it's like it's
Yeah,
just
but
so.
Warhammer doesn't have like a copyright on bulky armor, you know, or Zerg or Tyranids.
I don't know. It's, so
definitely
close,
some.
though.
It is.
I would
it's
say
definitely,
if anything, the Protoss are the biggest leap. Like the Eldar are compared to the Protoss are pretty different. But
Let's
the
face it.
Zerg and the Tyranid are not very
And
different.
the human
Blizzards do
faction.
not
And the
create
human and
new-
the Terran.
Blizzard do not
Hey,
create
what?
new games. Blizzard takes an existing model and perfects
And they make
it.
a perfect
Yeah.
yeah.
That's just like-
what's the word I'm looking for?
like a
RTS.
clone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
RTS.
I mean, that's just like Apple. Apple never does anything new. They take things that are mature and make them like the best version of themselves.
But the Apple
like-
Sims think they're new. They're like, Android's had this feature for like 5 years. Like, oh my god, guys, look what we
yeah.
have at
Did it
Apple. It's
work? Did it even
Right.
work on your?
100%.
Right. Do you want the stable, complete version, or do you want, early access? It's like you got to pick one. But okay, well, welcome to the episode. Today we're going to be talking about our weekly recap and news. This is what we always do, and then we bring up some questions, just like you can ask at pixelatedrealms.org/ask. We absolutely love when people ask questions or just leave comments. You don't even have to ask a question if you don't want to. And we've been having a lot of write-ins, and this is fantastic, and we really, really love it. And thank you guys for doing that. And then we're gonna jump into our segment, which is actually the questions that we get are so good that we're actually gonna hijack a couple of the questions and use that as our main segment discussion. So very excited for that. But let's dive right in, since we kind of had a little bit of a cold start already, and I love it. Love the discussion. What have you guys been playing?
Wants to start?
I'll start. Still Elden Ring.
Hell yeah!
141 now. I've kind of just got to a point
Love
where
to see it.
I need to start grinding more to get my level up a little bit. I went back through Crumbling Azul and beat some of like the not bosses, but like the harder enemies that I had ran past. That fucking knight there though, with the big ass horn on its shield, it's like one of the hardest fights in the game. He's a real piece of shit.
In which part?
Um,
Big horn in
like-
the shield?
Big he's like
In
this-
like which zone?
Like right in the dragon temple area. You go and then you have to like drop down. It's right before you fight the dragon with the lightning and birds. There's like this orange reddish armored knight. He's fucking huge, and he can't be staggered, and he hits like a fucking truck.
Yeah.
And
I know. I don't have the button up.
I know, sorry. But yeah, it was awful. So I haven't beat him yet. I got him to 25%, and I got the big knight on the horse right before the final boss down to like 25%, because in the first fight I couldn't beat him, so I just ran past him. But But yeah, so now I'm trying to go back and clear a little bit more of that zone out. But yeah, a little bit of a lull. But I did introduce Arthur, my son, for the listeners, to Astrobot, like the original one. And it's been fantastic because he's tried to play Peppa Pig, which he can, but it's kind of boring. He's played Spider-Man 2 with me, but he can't really do enough running around as Spider-Man. So Astrobot has been fantastic for him because it's actually a very friendly environment to teach him, to give him the this open world to learn how to jump, to learn how to punch, and it's very forgiving. So just in the couple of days that I've seen him play it, his how well he knows how to play the PlayStation now is just leaps and bounds better.
Wow.
Where he's knows how to use all the different buttons, and he can swipe down. He can blow on it to get the little thing to spin.
Wow.
Right.
So yeah, he really has a full understanding now almost of.
A game is great for learners. Yeah.
Yeah, it's still not great. He's still not good enough to go play Spider-Man 2 on his own.
Of course.
Obviously.
Yeah. He's
but
a child,
now he at 4 years old, he's actually doing really well. So I bought him the Astrobot limited edition controller that went on sale on Friday. That's really, really cute. So I woke up at 6:55, and then I was super pissed because the PlayStation fucking website was crashing, and I couldn't type in my credit card information. So I was super pissed. But then I was like, fuck it, and I just went and I found it. It was still available on Target. So I was like, dope.
Yeah.
And, yeah. So.
Oh yeah, this controller looks sick.
Yeah,
For
it's
those who
really
haven't
cute.
Seen it? It looks like a little cute, Astrobot eyes on the touchpad and stuff.
Yeah, it's
one of these. This is good.
Yeah, it's really cute. So yeah, we have one coming.
Wow.
But yeah, so that's kind of what I've been up to. Just teaching Arthur Astrobot and delaying the inevitable of having to grind out 10 levels on Elden Ring to beat the final big baddies.
Wow. Yeah, I've been up to quite a bit. I've been kind of having a tough couple of weeks with my focus, just jumping around games. I just haven't really settled on wanting to play anything in particular, and unfortunately that's just how it goes sometimes. But with that, I've still been having some fun, and I've still been jumping around a few games just to talk about here on the podcast, just to kind of touch on. And one of those is Alex convinced me last week to reinstall No Man's Sky, which, is always interesting. And once again, if you played No Man's Sky when it was released, it is, feels like a completely different game. Pretty much is a completely different game. And I'm enjoying it. I've put in several hours. I've built my base up. I've gone to the more diverse, star bases they have in space now. There's definitely elements there that I'm kind of keep me coming back. But inevitably, I'm still kind of wondering where the game is. It still kind of feels like a really cool place to be, but I still don't really know why I want to be there. And it's kind of take another survival game like Ark Survival Evolved, right? It's there was a reason I was trying to progress in that game. And you start in humble beginnings, right? You get a few dinosaurs, you build up a hut, but ultimately you want to go and take all of your guns and dinosaurs and fight these bosses in the end of the game. There's always this end goal. And in No Man's Sky, I never feel and this might just be my own ignorance because I haven't gotten to the very end of the new content. But I just wasn't really sure what I was fighting for. And having done the main story when the first game came out, thinking I was fighting for the ending of the story, I was pretty disappointed when, it just loops back to the beginning. So I'm still struggling with motivation a little bit on playing more of it because I don't know why I'm in this really cool world. I need a little bit of motivation. I need Darth Vader coming to kill me. I need a conflict, right? And that's the thing.
That's
is
just
I
you
still
across
feel
the board because you had the same exact, not maybe the exact, but a very similar
where's
take
the conflict?
About Starfield. You
Yeah,
didn't
no,
feel
it's super true. Yeah.
You're very progression based. You need that progression system there to
It's
continue to drive you.
absolutely true. But in No Man's Sky, you have a very your plane progresses, your equipment progresses, your gear, everything about your character gets better and better. But I don't really care. And I even have my first character who I made when the game came out. He has 25 hours. I can play him, and he has money, he has everything I need. It doesn't really make anything more fun. It's all the same stuff. So I don't know. I want to explore. There is this kind of like limited time mode. It's like 4 weeks long, or there was
like
4
events.
weeks left. Yeah, so it had this kind of like, I'm sure that gives me a little bit more of what I'm looking for, where it's like a steadfast direction. But yeah, I still think it's a marvel. I still think it's a really cool game, but haven't really found the why I want to play. But moving on, I have found a couple other games that have really kind of piqued my interest. I downloaded Star Wars Hunters, which I didn't know Alex had been playing. Star Wars Hunters is a Switch and mobile game, and it kind of came out, I wouldn't say under the radar, but it was just kind of like a small, like has the
mobile
feel of
game.
It's a mobile game,
like-
right? Like it
so
wasn't
like,
getting like
you
a big
know-
AAA launch, you know.
Yeah.
But it plays out kind of like Fortnite, but more in a Overwatch like battle arena setting instead of a battle royale. And you know what? When you take a game like that at face value and don't look too much into it, you can honestly have a lot of fun. Like, is it going to be a competitive game that like everyone dives into and tries to be the best? No. But like, it's just a fun game where you kind of just pick up a character, you go shoot some people who everyone has bad aiming because you're on a Switch or you're on a phone. It's just kind of like so not serious. It's kind of fun. And so yeah, I've been playing that a little bit, and since it was free, I was like nothing to lose, and that's been enjoyable. And then speaking of free games, there's also another one came out called Warhammer 40K Speed Freaks, and this is kind of like Twisted Metal, if you remember those games. But basically you drive in a car, but the cars are all loaded up with tons of weapons, and you go around shooting each other while trying to, achieve an objective or just do a death match. And it's themed after the Warhammer orcs, who are kind of this like belligerent race of silly,
In a very serious universe, they're like
in
a very
serious,
silly.
yeah, but they're also
group.
like 100% all about like murder and killing. It's really silly, but it's all like these junk piles they scrap together to create these amazing machines. So honestly, it's early access right now, but I am a lot more hopeful. I played about an hour of it yesterday and was pretty impressed for the. It's just, it's not a game you put like 1,000 hours into, but it's a game like you can easily put in like a couple matches and feel like, yeah, I had some fun today, and it's not overly serious or anything. But yeah, that's basically what I've been up to. How about yourself, Alex?
Yeah, so I just downloaded Speed Freak, so I'm excited to give it a shot. I didn't even know that one existed. I'm actually thoroughly impressed by like Warhammer is like they've
been pumping them out.
They are pumping out games like faster than I can even like comprehend. And then with Space Marine 2, which is just looking better and better by the day, like I'm really excited. And I feel like we jumped in at like a really good time to be like become like to become like Warhammer fans, because it's just like there's so much content for that, and it's awesome.
Well,
But
I mean, we recently got Rogue Trader, which to me was a almost perfect game with just like fixable flaws. I mean, we're getting Space Marines 2, which looks absolutely incredible.
cannot
and
wait.
I think a lot of non-Warhammer people are gonna grab that one. Like a lot of Warhammer.
I mean, it's giving me a lot of like Helldivers vibes, but with just like much more
what it gives me?
immersion.
Like a Gears of War kind of thing. I think we're gonna get the Gears crowd. Yeah.
I think it's like the Gears of War with like Helldivers kind of gameplay. And I know that a lot of people disagree with this, but I actually think that like the visuals do matter a lot for me personally. And it doesn't mean that the visuals have to be beautiful. Well, I'm sorry. It doesn't mean they have to be like high res.
The world.
Yeah, they don't have to be high res, and they don't have to be like the most modern technology. But the visuals have to entice me to stay in that world. And the visuals of this game look amazing and beautiful. And I'm like really excited to feel like this badass Space Marine that's just like destroying Tyranids. And so I'm like super excited about that. But I'm looking forward to that.
I mean, it does matter though. Like the visuals do matter, and like I think nowadays it's funny because we live through this weird correction, right? Where like visuals, the technology didn't allow us to have crazy good visuals, so people leaned more on game mechanics. But now we've switched, where we lean very heavily on game visuals and forget about game mechanics. So, the hope is obviously that this game does not finds a good medium between both.
Yeah,
but the
you gotta
important part of
balance.
visuals, especially in a Warhammer universe, is setting the tone, because the grim,
Mm-hmm.
dark universe of Warhammer is it is tonal, it's
important.
thematic. Yeah, it's really
Yeah.
important. And displaying who the Space Marines are compared to a general, or just a normal human being, an Astra Militarum person, matters. But yeah,
Yeah,
like
the
the
fact that they're-
painting, the multiplayer, like there's so many things about this game I think are going to be a ton of fun.
Yeah, when you play this like 8-foot tall immortal, that's entire purpose
hearts,
in life. Yeah,
3
is-
lungs.
is to kill things and be this aggressive warrior. You have to like tell that in more than just words. You can't. That's
Yeah.
like a show me, don't tell me kind of a thing. But I'm really excited about that. But I like what you said about No Man's Sky, and I agree. I like games like that to a certain degree. Like it's a sandbox game, right? So I agree though that I need progression, and progression can be inherent to the game, like internalized, or it could be like externalized, meaning like a quest,
Sure.
right? And so it's like you kind of have to find your own quests in that game, and I agree. And they do have a little bit of a quest, and they've gotten a little bit better about it, where it's this like you're trying to find this. I forgot what they call it now, but like a void. It's
Yeah.
not what it's called. It's got some name like that though, and you're trying to like track the origin of this like anomaly. That's what it's called, anomaly. But it's really just an excuse to get you to travel from planet to planet to planet. The story
Right.
isn't really like deeper than that, and so you really have to like the goal of that game is to just be like, okay, I am in this world and I want to get better gear for myself. That way, so I can explore better, and I want to build a better base so I can make things that help me explore better. And then I am going to get a better ship that lets me travel further and fight bigger things. And
Right.
then now they have like the frigates, which is so you can have now your base basically on the move. And then they have these like nexus points where it's kind of like a lobby for other players for you all to meet that are not within space and time, kind of. So it's like one of the problems with having a universe as big as that game, right, was that you almost never met another player, even though it's technically possible. So they created these like nexus points that are in the anomaly that like is outside of space, right? So it's like you can travel to any of them and meet players. So there's a lot of like really great things, but you're right. Like it doesn't hold your hand. It doesn't say like, hey, we need to defeat these pirates. It's kind of like, all right, good luck. Go upgrade yourself.
Yeah, and I just think, like, I don't know, like, the fact that there is no, for example, right, like, you'll be running around a planet doing your thing, and then, like, a group of, like, 3 or 4 ships will come out of orbit and fly in, and you'll be like, whoa, there's other aliens. But once again, they're not going anywhere. They're not doing anything. There's no city. They're not getting out of there. Like, once again, and this was still the problem from day one release, the world does not feel alive. It does not feel living. It is this, like, why does anyone exist in No Man's Sky world? It's not believable. And I do
There
gotta
are
say,
actually cities now. They're just small. They're called settlements, and they will land there and they'll do things. But you're right. Like it's not like Skyrim where they have their own little individual like wants and needs, and then they have like a home they go back to.
But even Starfield, I think, was a better example. You know, like Starfield, you do have a few dedicated cities that make me feel pretty. Now, Starfield, unfortunately, had different issues, but like in No Man's Sky, I gotta say, now that it's been many, many years, I think the art actually did fall flat for me a little bit too. I think I just kind of like wasn't super into its artistic depiction
Like the
of
Fortnite
the world.
style.
Well, just the way the aliens melded together with the worlds, with the universe. To me, there's no cohesion. Like it all seems kind of alien. So I don't know. Maybe that's enough time on No Man's Sky, but
Yeah,
it's still
we'll
quite
on.
an impressive piece of like gaming, and it came back from a rough launch. So not
Maybe
all
maybe
negative.
I'll install, or maybe I'll sign up for Game Pass for 1 month so I can try it out.
Yeah,
just,
I think
just
it's a
for
good.
No Man's Sky.
Well,
Yeah.
I was saying that I think it's a good Sea of Thieves replacement for us because we play Sea of Thieves more to like talk and just like mess around than we do to actually play the game. And that's a good one for that because there is no story just like Sea of Thieves, and we can have our ship together and we can just fly around and just it doesn't really matter if we succeed or fail.
Yeah.
But
At what?
there's things to do. You
This
just have to-
game changed gaming.
That's the thing. It's like we get together and Sea of Thieves. At least you have quests to do.
There are factions now, and so you can be like a mercenary, you can be a trader, you can be an explorer, and they'll give you missions. So like right now, I'm doing the mercenaries quest line, and it's like go find. There's these sentinels, which are basically the bad guys. They're like robots. And right now, my quest line is like very simple because I'm in the very beginning, and it's like go kill 10 of them or something. So there are like things to do, and like you were saying with the city, that's what the anomaly is supposed to replace. The anomaly is a city. And it has stores and it has things and there's other people running around.
Right.
You may not have gotten there yet, but
I have.
Yeah, they do change it. They change it constantly. But there are actually like quests and there's like characters that are story driven and stuff like that. But you're right, it's not very deep. So, but you're right. I think we also we could talk about that more maybe like as the weeks come. Star Wars Hunters, I do want to talk about that too. Like that's fun. I do play that on and off. I play that one kind of at night, like before I go to bed. I played the last Battle Pass, and I find it fun. It's less of like Fortnite and more like an Overwatch light. You know, it's that kind of 4v4 objective-based game, and it's fun. It's not bad at all. It is a mobile game, and they do try and get you to buy like the characters and stuff like that, but they do have a little bit of balancing issues, I think. There's a few characters that are just so much stronger than the other ones. But overall, fun game. But yeah, I mean, they kind of fly under the radar a little bit because it's mobile, but I mean, overall, like a very complete game.
I think the thing that actually stood out to me the most about that game is the fact that they didn't choose to select from the huge cast of Star Wars characters, and they decided to make all new characters. And at first I was like, that's a weird decision. And then I kind of saw them, and I was like, no, that was actually a cool decision because they got to be really creative. You know, one of the characters is literally two Jawas in a long trench coat standing on top of each other, named Utuni. You know, like, so they just got to like have a little bit more fun with it. So it was one of those things that I was like, oh, this is kind of a weird choice. But then I was like, no, this was actually a smart choice.
Yeah, I actually really like the character design. I mean, there's some typical characters, like there's a Wookiee warrior, there's an old, not old, but there's a retired, I guess you could say, like stormtrooper heavy gunner. There's one of my favorites is the Jedi robot. So there's a robot who thinks it's a Jedi, but doesn't have the Force. So he uses a lightsaber, but he pretends to use the Force by like stretching his arm really long or something. He's like Force pull, but he really just stretches his arm out and grabs you. So I think that's like a really funny kind of thing.
The Ugnaught that's in the droideka. He's like inside the droideka. That one's cool too.
Yeah. That one is cool. There's some good, and they're obviously going to release new characters because they released the Mandalorian character, which is cool.
So if you're looking for a not half bad mobile game,
yeah, it's free. I've actually mostly this week I've dedicated a lot of my time to playing Call of Duty. So I'm the resident Call of Duty shooter guy. I really like Call of Duty. There's no way to get around that, but I do kind of go in waves because I'll play it for a while and then I'm bored. You know, just as the content drips, kind of stops. You know, there's only so much content that they can do for a shooter like that. And I'm also not super into the direction they were going with like releasing all of the goofy characters.
Yeah.
You know, they kind of Fortnited it a little bit, and I understand from like a business perspective, and like I can just choose not to kind of participate in that part of the game, but it does kind of like water down a little bit of the kind of more serious tactical experience, you know, that I'm trying to achieve. But not a big complaint, but just, you know, a little thing there.
Nitpick.
But the game is good, and you know, I've been playing that, trying to play a little bit more Warzone and like ranked and stuff like that.
What mode do you play?
Mostly play regular multiplayer. I like just, you know, slamming on people because not always, but I'm usually in like the top like one or two. So like it's fun. I feel, you know, very accomplished. Not saying I'm a great player. I play good in random lobbies. You know, you put me up against somebody who actually knows what they're doing, and I get smashed. But I've been playing like a little bit of Warzone, but that one is just so slow. Like the games are so slow and the action is so like far between because it's like you fall in, you got to get your gear, then you find somebody, maybe you get a kill, but then you get killed again, and then you have to wait another like 5 minutes to like load up another game, and it just takes a while, so it's just kind of too slow for my taste.
Yeah, that was always my thing with Battle Royale too. I'm like, especially when you're learning and you're not doing it, you know, you're just like, okay, dead, and restart, dead, restart. And then like once we were like playing a lot of Battle Royale, we were like, well, I want to go into the hottest drop zone because that's like the best opportunity. So then even then you still kind of like sometimes get bad luck and die. And it's just like,
that is something like no matter how good you are at Warzone, there's just so much variation and so many ways people can get you that you're gonna get killed. Even if you're like the best player, you can get randomly sniped in one shot, and there's just nothing you can do about it because there's no possible way you would have known, right? So it's like there's a degree of like lack of control that you're kind of like, it's kind of frustrating. Like in multiplayer, it's like, okay, like I can be careful, I can watch my corners, I can do all this, and I can get like a 3 or 4, maybe even a 5 like kill streak, you know, pretty consistently. But in Warzone, you're like, I could be running and then someone turns a corner, shotguns me in the face, and I wasn't ready. You know, like it's just nothing you can do about it. Also, the new Call of Duty's coming out at the end of the month, so I wanted to like spin up
a new one. I'm just like so confused. I've lost track.
Oh, they release one almost every year. This is Call of Duty Black Ops 6, so this is one of the Black Ops ones. And, you know, I think it's going to be cool. So I'm excited for that one. And it's on Game Pass, so it's the first time I've never bought one. And because I have Game Pass. So I'm really hoping. I am a little worried though because all of my Call of Duty stuff is on Battle.net. And and so if it's on Game Pass, it's like
Microsoft owns both of them though.
They do. But it's like I hope that I can log in on Game Pass in my like Activision account to link it because I would hate to lose all of my like guns and stuff because the way that it works is they kind of like merge all of the games together in Warzone and multiplayer, so you can use all the guns from all the previous games, which I don't know is a good or bad thing, but that's just what they did. So we'll see.
Wow.
But yeah, that's what I've been doing. Been shooting stuff.
Pew 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 pew.
Cool. You guys got anything else, or should we move on to questions?
No, I think it's a good time to move on to questions.
D23 at all, or nah?
Oh my god, I completely forgot about that. You're right. Let's talk about that. D23 happened.
Yeah,
and they had some big Disney announcements. D23 is Disney's like announcement convention.
Yeah, it used to be a fan event, and then it just got so big that Disney's like, we're going to be a part of this and make it a huge fucking deal.
Now it's their E3 now, yeah.
Yeah, now it's this massive, basically the E3 for Disney. Two things I saw that look pretty cool. For one, there's like a ton of Disney like animation stuff. Like they'll release Moana 2's trailer. They got like a new trailer for Incredibles 3. But the stuff that I was most excited for, like they released a trailer for Tron Heirs. I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, that was cool.
I saw that 9 Inch Nails is doing the music. That's gonna be sick. It's gonna be really drum and bass, like deep. I think.
Yeah, I'm like the only one who's not excited for that.
You don't like 9 Inch Nails?
I'm sorry, I just don't. Give me hate in the comments, like hate me all you want. I don't like 9 Inch Nails. I'm sorry.
I like some. I've never like sat out and flipped on a CD of theirs, but I've heard some of their songs. It's cool. Yeah. But I liked it was Daft Punk that did the Legacy, right? So they killed it.
I'm sure he'll still amaze me in doing a Tron style soundtrack, but I just like personally I don't vibe with 9 Inch Nails, so I was like I guess I'm anticipatory.
You know what though? You say that, but so then like if you look at this is like off topic a little bit, but like M83 did the soundtrack for Oblivion, and I fucking love the Oblivion soundtrack. But I've listened to M83.
Yes, the Tom Cruise movie.
Yeah.
Okay, thank
you.
Like
the Oblivion soundtrack, the movie is fucking phenomenal. I've tried to listen to other stuff at M83, and I don't like it at all. And I'm just like, I thought it was all going to sound like the Oblivion soundtrack, like that style.
Well, writing a movie soundtrack is incredibly different than writing band music.
That's my point. Yeah. That's why I brought it up, because I don't like M83 much, but I love what they did on Oblivion, so maybe the same will happen here for you with Tron and 9 Inch Nails. But I am bummed that it's not like following. It's a sequel to the last one, but it doesn't have the two main characters. It looks like in the movie, so a little bummed about that.
Well, the main character is Jeff Bridges. Everyone else is a support character.
He wasn't the main character.
I mean, Tron Legacy
in the last one
had some weak story points for sure. I don't think it's unwise of them to like try to get away from that a little bit. Okay, so one thing to keep in mind though, Trent Reznor, right, who is the lead member, creator of 9 Inch Nails. There's other members of 9 Inch Nails, but Trent Reznor is it. He also won an Oscar for Best Score for The Social Network. So he's a famous film composer at this point.
I didn't know
But the
he
fact
did
that they're doing it, Trent Reznor, he has a literal Oscar. To be honest, I liked the music. I disagreed with the Oscar, but totally different podcast. But I'm sure they'll do a great job. I just saying it's specifically Nine Inch Nails doing it and not Trent Reznor makes a big difference, right? It means it'll be their style, not just Trent Reznor.
He's actually done like a lot of movies. I did not realize how many movies.
He won an Oscar. You get some jobs after that.
But he did Soul, Social Network, a lot of movies I haven't seen. But Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. He did The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, Gone Girl. Like he's done over like
out here competing with Hans Zimmer.
30 movies.
No, but
Hans Zimmer.
He's almost there. No, Hans Zimmer is a very smart businessman nowadays. He's a businessman.
But I bummed Olivia Wilde's not in it because, not to objectify her, but I think that she looked amazing. I love the makeup and like the costume design and everything, the hair.
And what?
For Tron.
Olivia Wilde.
Yeah.
Did I not see that still?
She's the
main girl
in the second one.
Yeah, and
she's like the program.
Oh, you're just talking about her look in the second one.
Yeah,
sure.
So I was bummed she's not in the new one because I loved her look and.
I mean that whole movie.
I see your point.
Tron 2, I thought was visually amazing. I mean the story fell a bit flat, but like the music hit and the visuals were super cool.
Yeah, it was just a fun movie. It's just a fun movie.
It was very fun.
I mean, I think that's what they were going
actually
for.
fell asleep in the movie, though. At the end, the ending of the movie is pretty bleak, and I fell asleep at the end. I mean, I've since watched it.
You're whack.
Our friend Chris calls it the coolest music video ever made.
Yeah. I mean, the 1985 original Tron. I really hope I got that right. Is a movie
82.
I watch frequently.
I love that movie. It's a classic.
It's like the fact that like they took so painstaking time to
hand drew
and then hand drew all of that visual. Like I have so much respect for that. Like it's such a cool art form, and the movie itself was fun too.
Yeah. Okay, we got cool stuff we like about Tron, cool stuff that we're worried about. Next thing at D23, just because we're running out of time, guys, I want to push this forward.
Yeah.
The only other thing,
thank you.
The one thing I saw was just that I guess Robert Downey Jr. is going to reprise his role as Iron Man in an attraction coming to Disneyland. So that's cool. They announced 2 new rides for Disneyland for the Venture Campus, which that's always been one of the biggest critiques of that zone is that there's only Spider-Man and only. Yeah, it's Spider-Man and Guardians rides, which Guardians is just
Guardians.
It's just Tower of Terror.
By the way, the Spider-Man game is the Spider-Man ride is super fun if you have not been.
Yeah, it's dope. They just ended the oh my god, Doctor Strange like little thing that they did, like the show. So I'm wondering if one of the rides is going to be put right there because I was just thinking like, where the fuck are they going to put these attractions?
Well, the Avengers building sounds like it needs to become its own ride too. It's such a big space. But
it
anyway,
is, but they made a part of that building the new Avengers store. So that big ass store that they had over by Monsters Inc. ride is gone, and it's now moved over into the Avenger campus, which is nice.
Interesting.
Yeah, that area was that Monsters Inc. area was always kind of a dead zone, so they needed to like spruce that up.
I think that's gonna be the next area that gets torn down, like that. That street,
Hollywood.
Yeah, the Hollywood Street. It's going to be the next piece, I think, that gets bounced. But, all right. What about you guys?
I mean, to me, the only thing that stood out was Skeleton Crew trailer information. I'm just a huge Star Wars person, so we got a lot of Star Wars stuff, but like the Skeleton Crew trailer came out, so I'm really excited for that. It is supposed to be like a Stand By Me kids adult story in Star Wars, so I don't really know what to expect, but I think it's going to be one of those fun for everyone kind of TV shows. Probably not like Andor level, but I suspect it'll be fun.
I don't expect that one to be great, but I definitely gonna watch it. But I'm excited for it. Yeah, that Toy Story, new Toy Story 5, stuff like that.
The Toy Story 5, they show a picture, I guess, and it shows Woody, and I'm just like, didn't he leave? Like, are they really going to figure out a way to bring Woody back?
I don't know.
I
guess
you are not allowed to retire at Disney.
Yeah.
As long as you're making money, you are still working there.
Would be fucking hilarious. I know this isn't going to happen. As if like it was, she was so sad that she lost Woody. They found and bought a new one, and it's a different voice actor.
It's a totally different person.
Dude, that would be so funny.
Emily told me, my wife told me that this one is about the toys coming to terms with like electronic times.
Yeah,
So,
the
like,
picture
iPad.
shows Bonnie under the pillows watching her iPad, and all the toys are sitting there like looking kind of sad, and that like they're not being played with.
Right.
Oh my god,
So
too
they're very
real.
grim.
I wonder
very
if this will
grim.
be like a prequel to 4. Like,
Yeah,
it's
I heard
actually
it's a
like
sequel. That's what some people said too. Is like, oh, will it be a prequel because Woody's there? But I saw people in the comments saying no, it's a sequel, which it makes sense because
Wow.
Bonnie's still very young in 4.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, at this point, like, I want to be like, they're overkilling Toy Story, da-da-da-da, but they haven't missed yet. So why would I believe
four
that
was
they're going
good.
to?
I don't think 4 was amazing. As somebody who like has like stuffed animals around his room and like has had like a very like serious connection to them as a kid. Because I used to have a lot of nightmares, so like I used to, stuffed animals were like my guardians, so that kind of made me feel safe. Like the way Toy Story 3 ended, like I literally almost cried, like when he gave his toys away. Like it was just like because it's just such a
was a
direct
great
connection
moment.
to my own childhood, and I think for a lot of people, you know, like
Yeah, you weren't the only one, for sure.
so it's like 3 was just so fucking amazing how it ended, and then 4, like I was like, that's not necessarily necessary, but I love this series, so I was glad we got another one. I don't know if we'll need a 5. But I'm definitely gonna watch it 100% because I love the franchise. But I hope they can figure out a way to make it good, and not just like a Toy Story cash grab.
Yeah, I hope so too. Because I said the same thing about 4 after 3. Because 3, like you were right, like 3
I don't
felt
think
like
I've
such
seen
a
4.
great spot for it to be done, and it hits in the heart so hard that you're like, I don't think they can't possibly like, get any better than this. 4 was good. It was good. It was a really good movie. It's just hard when you come off of 3, which is like a absolutely perfect movie. It's hard to, compare those kind of things, but 4 is a really good movie.
Yeah.
And that one it's kind of like a post ending. It's like a ending part 2 because it's like, okay, 3 was the ending for sure. And then
3
4
was a
is kind of
send
like
off for Andy. 4 was
Yeah.
supposed to be like the send off for the other main guy, Woody, right?
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah,
I am
exactly.
curious how he comes back.
Yeah. So, I want to be hopeful. So we'll see. Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Any
right.
other D3 news 23 news we want to talk about? If not, I think we should
lots
get
of
to some
kid stuff,
questions.
you know.
Okay, cool. Then we're going to bring up some questions. So if you want to ask a question or leave a comment, you could do so at pixelatedrealms.org/ask. Leave us a comment or a question. We'll talk about it right now. So we're going to bring it up. We got a couple of good questions, and we always appreciate it. So the man himself, Ralph. Ralph is like almost
The
single-handedly
legend.
holding up this podcast. Super legend. Massive shout out. If you guys don't follow him, he's Ralph Riders on Twitch, and he streams quite regularly. So I implore you all to go and subscribe or follow or whatever
He's
it's
a
called. on
huge
Twitch.
DMX fan, just so you guys know.
Roughnecks.
Huge DMX.
Ralph's
Okay,
Roughnecks.
didn't know that. Here we go. What game story has one of the most memorable plot twists of any important characters die, betrayed, etc.? It was kind of a run-on. That was it. Okay, so what's one of the most memorable moments in a video game?
For me, the first one that pops in is Final Fantasy X. The plot twist with the main character Titus at the end, thinking. I don't want to spoil it, but
The
Final
game is
Fantasy
like
X.
10 years old. Just say it.
It's most people don't have the patience to get through the whole game.
Yeah,
But either
but
way,
if
you
they-
think the whole game, you think one character is going to die, and then at the end another character ends up having to die. It's a heartbreaking.
And one character's been dead the whole time.
yes,
There
But
is
is
Sixth
still
Sense.
around. What?
I mean,
Like
it's like
the
I
Sixth Sense.
cried. I literally cried. Okay.
Yeah, that's a good one. To me, I think of BioShock, and now, like, retrospectively, like, compared to a lot of games, I think the moment probably isn't as strong. But when I played that game, and you find out that you have been a pawn of the bad guy, like, the whole game.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, like, that's so cool. Like, would you kindly, is the like his trigger word for mind control.
Right, yeah.
And so you're like, and then you start like thinking about the game. And you're like, shit, he says that like every time we've talked. And so, I thought that was a pretty cool moment.
And then in the third one, you get another great reveal.
Yeah. I mean, BioShock Infinite as well is probably one of the, like, I mean, that's the best game in the series, and that game is so good. And you think they couldn't top the
that's
other
hotly
ones.
debated. Yeah, a lot of people don't like that game, which I think is a tragedy.
Well, they're
but
all
anyway.
wrong. They're all wrong.
I agree.
Wrong.
What do you think, Dustin?
I don't really have one. I guess the only one I can really think of off the top of my head, well, there's two, I guess, but one is like Nier. At the end of Nier, like it kind of flips the whole story. Like you think that the humans are alive and like running the show, then you find out it's actually like they're all like humanity's already extinct, and that like 2B you think is like is not actually 2B. She's 2E, and that she is supposed to get A9, her companion, because he has the power to like blow up the universe or something like that. She has to like get him to like reset every time, and like that's her job, is to like get him to like forget. I'm fucking this up because I haven't played it in like at least 5 years. But there's something with A9 where like he has like this crazy power if he like gets too emotionally charged and can like destroy the whole world. So yeah, her job is to actually like get him to like reset his programming or something of that sort. But yeah, you find out that you're not actually, the whole game you think that you're taking orders from the humans up on the ship, and that you're trying to like get rid of these robots on Earth so it can repopulate the planet. But you find out like they're already all extinct. The other one I was thinking of, it's not really like a single game twist, but I would say like World of Warcraft, I guess, like in the second expansion, like, or maybe it's the first expansion. Yeah, first expansion. And Illidan's the big baddie. And then, like, you find out, I think, in the second, or the one, or maybe later even further, I can't remember exactly, that he's actually a good guy who is doing things to try and steer the world in a direction so that the actual bad guys can win. Tyler, you probably know the story like way more in depth than I do.
Yeah, so... No. He's talking about Illidan. So Illidan ends up...
Illidan, yeah.
He ends up, like, embracing Sargeras' power, or... I'm gonna mess it up too now though, but he does it just so he can like gain enough power to go kill Gul'dan or Sargeras or one of those. Either way, but yeah.
I mean, this is like 15 years.
It all happens in Burning Crusade. Yeah, all those events happen in Burning Crusade.
Yeah.
Cool. Ralph's answer, he says, I don't know if it's a plot twist, but The Last of Us 2, all trailers leading up to the game showed Ellie and Joel together, and then Joel was in fact not with her in the game. So yeah, that's a great one. That game is epic from beginning to end. Okay, this one's from Patrick. Hey guys, what is the game that may have been universally panned or outright hated, but you still enjoy? Maybe it got poor marks for being, too repetitive or simplistic, but you just liked it, playing it as the character, or the main gameplay was just too good. An example for me would be Ghost Recon Wildlands. It got mild reception due to be formulaic, repetitive, and clunky, but I didn't care. I just enjoyed the shooting mechanic and clearing out the base. I got a hit of dopamine whenever I heard the shot land and satisfying thwack hit him in the head. Also, a personal accomplishment is that I could clear the location without being detected. I like games for other reasons, but this got me through the tedious parts. Keep it up, Pat.
Alex feels the same way about Wildlands.
Yeah, I actually totally agree with you. I have tons of games like that. Like the Ghost Recon games, I love them, both Wildlands and Breakpoint. Like I agree. Like, yeah, they're not trying to be these like huge, God of War games or whatever, but they're very satisfying, and I like the game. And it's you're playing your special forces crew, and you're going through and you're running a mission on an outpost, and yeah, I like that. Another one is Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I don't think it got like shit on or anything, but the reception was just kind of mediocre, and so mediocre. But I platinumed that game and all of the, and it's a long game. It was like 150 hours or so. Platinumed that game and its expansions, and so like I played the shit out of that game. Like I loved it. I loved the Viking, like whole theme. I love the character. I love the story. I was like everything in that game. Like I loved, even though like it got like maybe like a 7 out of 10 or whatever on Metacritic. What about you guys?
I honestly can't really think of one. I'd say like one game, at least amongst some guys I used to play with, that I thought was really cool that just did not catch on in our group was I liked the original Realm Royale, because it was like battle royale, but you had like wizard spells and shit, and it was just like really cartoony. I think they completely revamped the whole game now. We only played it for like a week, but I was like, I don't know, I thought it was kind of really fun and different than like PUBG, because it was like it wasn't pre-Fortnite, but it was before Fortnite kind of blew up, I think, as much, because PUBG was still kind of like king at that moment. So I don't know, I guess that, but yeah, I can't really think of any other great examples of like a game that's just like wildly popular, but or not even wildly popular, but yeah, they're just people.
No, a game that people didn't like that you did.
Yeah, but like something that's more like mainstream hate, you know? I don't know. Battlefield, or Battlefield games sometimes. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I have like a few. I have like different kind of ways of like thinking about them. I think the most recent example of this would be like Skull and Bones. Like, by all accounts, it wasn't really a great game, but like because the game was satisfying my desire of having a ship, being a pirate, blowing some stuff up, like it completely satisfied that dopamine hit for me. So like, yeah, I put in like 20 or 30 hours, maybe more, into Skull and Bones, and it was a 7 out of 10, and I don't play it anymore, but like I still had, if I'm putting time into a game, I'm enjoying it. Like there's no, I'm not at a point in my life where I can just sit there and slog through a game I don't like. So like that's a recent example, but I'll pull a really deep example that I'm still sad about to this day. There's this game on Steam called Duelist. It is with a Y, Duelist, Duelist, and it's a card-based like Hearthstone game, but instead of it being the cards are placed down on the battlefield, you place little units down on the battlefield. So it's more like a Final Fantasy Tactics turn-based attacking sort of game. And
how long have you been playing that game, Tyler? Did you pick it up after Bandai relaunched it, or did you play the original?
I played the original. I played the original until the game was shut down. It was shut down because nobody was playing it. And I was really sad because they used to have this thing, besides just playing, there was different factions. Blah, blah, I won't explain all the details. You can look it up if you want to. But I just thought it was a really, really interesting game. It ended up shutting down, and then, yeah, as Dustin was saying, it relaunched as like a not being updated kind of thing. Like, we'll give you the chance to play, but we're not going to touch it. And yeah, so it just died in the water. And I just thought it was like way more fun than Hearthstone or any of the other games of its kind. And really unique.
Fun fact, I launched that game at 47
You
Communications.
watched Duelist?
I did all the PR
Duelist?
for Duelist and launched that game. So that's how I
What
know
happened
that.
with Duelist? I like really, really loved that game.
It's beautiful. It's a fucking beautiful game.
The
like
pixel art was gorgeous. The mechanical puzzles, so they'd have like these daily puzzles, and it'd give you like a situation where you have like one unit and the enemy has 5, and it'll be like, you have everything you need to destroy this guy in one turn, figure it out. And I would actually spend hours just trying to figure out how the game wanted me to play my cards. And it really felt like you were playing like a really fun like Magic the Gathering chess. Really unique game, and it failed.
I think it's just so hard to get mass attention, on anything.
Yeah.
Like, it got coverage. Like, we did some really cool stuff at GameStop.
I gave you guys some money.
Yeah, I think, like, for, like, most games, unless there's, like, a constant wave of content coming out, and especially even a smaller, like, indie, like, we usually help with the launch, and then, like, the studio's like, okay, cool, like, we got it from here.
Take over.
So, like, we didn't really, like, stick around and, like, help do any PR post-launch for the most part. So, yeah, I don't know, like, where things kind of went awry.
It sucks that game failed.
Yeah, but it's a gorgeous
2 is
game.
free on Steam.
Yeah,
It's the same exact game. It's just the first game redone.
Yeah,
with no updates. It's like I checked it out and I was like, oh yeah, no thank you.
yeah, no, really cool game. Like I said, really great game art, very unique. So it's a bummer. Just
what is
the
this
mass
Duelist GG thing?
Oh, .gg
like,
is just a website domain that people use for games sometimes.
No, it just says Duelist GG as if like this was.
I don't know.
2023. Anyway, moving on.
I'm going to move on to the next one. So the next two questions are by an anonymous write-in, but both were so good that we're going to kind of make this like our keystone
hold on.
feature.
Before we do that then, hold on. Before we get into the final topic,
oh.
I just want to apologize to Matt Murdock. We didn't talk about the fucking Daredevil trailer at D23, so I fucking super want to watch that show. I loved Daredevil on Netflix, so I'm looking forward to it. It's coming to Disney. So yeah.
Oh,
All right,
yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I like that show too. But okay, we have two questions by anonymous here. So going off of our conversation from the last episode, closing that Game Informer is closing, where do you get all your gaming news from? You mentioned some, I guess, former employees of GI, but where are the positive, good people you look in the industry for information, knowledge, or whatever? Like, what gaming podcasts or sites do you listen to? Also, do you stream or Twitch on YouTube? So I'm going to answer that one real quick. As of right now, we don't regularly stream on Twitch or YouTube, but we probably will start doing so. We have that as a milestone for our podcast when we hit a certain amount of followers. Just so you know, that was kind of something we said we are going to do. And my computer's dead, and so that's why we hadn't done it in a while. But I think Tyler's been kind of doing it a little bit. What is your personal handle?
My personal handle? I'm using Pixelated Realms for the stream. Yeah.
So we do have a Pixelated Realms, I think it's Pixelated Realms podcast on Twitch. So if we stream, we usually stream on Twitch, and then we post all of the follow-ups on YouTube. So we will probably continue to do so. We'll probably do that more as time goes on, especially if we find out that people are interested in that kind of a thing. But let's go back to your real question here. So where do we find information? Where are the positive people that we listen to? And all of that. We have some good ones, but do you guys want to go first? You want me to go?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. I mean, personally, so I'm a fan of the Kind of Funny podcast. We've talked about that a few times in the past, and it's probably no surprise. They're the number one, probably most popular gaming podcast out there. They're local to us in San Francisco, near us, and they are run by Greg Miller, who's a very well-known personality in gaming journalism. So he used to work at like IGN and stuff like that. Very boisterous, very much of a loud personality and stuff like that. But him and his crew do a really good job of creating content around video games and making it interesting and very positive. They're a very positive crew, and they, try to. I mean, they don't skim over negative things. But all of their, their hearts and minds are in the right place. So I listen to them. They have a podcast called Kind of Funny Games Daily. That's a daily podcast every morning that is like a recap of news. So I usually will listen to that to kind of catch up on whatever needs to be caught up. And then they have dozens of other videos too, but that's kind of the main one. You can also follow them on social media. That's it for podcasts. I mean, I have a few other things, but I think, what do you guys think?
If I were going to go podcast, I'd probably say check out Giant Bomb. Giant Bomb's been around a super long time, too, just like Kind of Funny, little old school veterans there. I think podcasts, honestly, like that and Kind of Funny is, I think, would have been my top recommendation, too. What's Good Games with Andre Renee also.
It's no longer around. They just announced. It's done.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Real sad. I know. I was sad to see that. That's
a bummer. But I think podcasts are probably the best route to go because it's very news. They're going to talk about the industry, news. Social media, man, I just stay away from it. I do follow a lot of reporters. I'm in the industry. But I think it's hard when you're following different people. Even if I agree with their opinions, most people will talk about different happenings and share their opinions. If you're trying to completely just get away from the negative noise and you don't want to see anybody's takes on it, I just avoid social media for the most part. In terms of not necessarily getting news or talking to people in the industry, the most positive experience I've ever had in gaming is really playing World of Warcraft or Counter-Strike and becoming a part of a clan or guild, because I have friends that I still talk to even though I haven't played WoW in years. We still have a Discord alive, and like there's guys in it, I've been talking to them since I was 16 years old. I'm 37, you know, so more than 20 years, and like we're still friends and we still talk, and it's just I found these people. I found these people because I wanted to go like start playing competitive Counter-Strike, and so Cal back in the day was how like a tournament system, a team system with seasons, and I was like, okay, what's a team that's good? And they had a local server in Orange County, and I joined their fucking public server, and I just became friends with these guys from playing in there all the time, and then I became a part of the group, and then we all transitioned to World of Warcraft in 2004, and yeah, just kept it going. But I mean, Counter-Strike may be a little more difficult, but World of Warcraft, man, like such a great place to just get to know a shit ton of people within your guild and become friends. Like people I've hung out with in real
nowadays
life.
It's Discord servers, right?
Yeah, you know, so it's a great place to have a community of people that you can game with and really just become friends with. So if you've never done anything like that, I highly recommend, you know, buying that crack and downloading some WoW, because it's very addictive. You know, just trying to join a group and make a bunch of friends who have like-minded interests.
Yeah, and be, you know, just be open to, you know, being around people who might be different than you, but just, you know, learning to work through that in a sense, in like a positive way, right? Like, and I think everyone faces this when they're like, oh, you know, this is, you know, I'd rather just be playing games with people I know and I'm familiar with, but like, you know, feel like empowered to go outside your comfort zone and try to like, you know, play games with people. I still actively try to do that myself. And I'm not sure I have a lot in the way of recommendations, but for me, I mean, I get a lot of my news browsing Reddit and Reddit subreddits. And one thing I would say is just, you know, take things, make your own opinions, you know, and to me, that's a lot of how I deal with the positivity in this arena. You know, a game might come out. I'm trying to think of one, but I'm failing. A game might come out, and I'm just seeing a million Reddit posts or YouTube videos about how it's garbage and terrible. But then I will go and pick up the game, and I'll play it, just trying to be like as open-minded as possible. And I'll be like, yeah, I mean, this game isn't changing the world, but like I'm having fun with it. Like, and that, which is how I felt with Skull and Bones. So like, don't let other people's opinions stop you from potentially having fun, even if that's just a little bit of fun, or you take the chance and you have a lot of fun. So like, I think there's a lot of, as I said in my trailer video, you know, playing games, investing your time into a video game is inherently risky because it might not be fun, right? You're risking it because you're investing your time, and it might not be worth it. So we just all got to do that ourselves, and don't let other people tell you what a game is or isn't, because it could mean something totally different to you than it does to another person.
Yeah. We did have another write-in. It's pretty much the same like line of thought as that last question, but I want to read it. It says, "Sup guys, trying to be positive, trying to be the positivity you see in the world. You guys have any suggestions as to where to look to keep positive? I want to get past this negative energy that's so embedded in gaming. How do you guys keep it real? What to avoid, who to watch, etc.? Thanks, man." So very much along the same lines. And something that I want to do more is, you know, kind of uplift the indie industry and, you know, try and discover games that are smaller that, you know, try and kind of, you know, support that side. Because, you know, we need, like, you know, big business and stuff like that, but a lot of the times, a lot of the negative trends come from that side. And so it's like, in order to counterbalance it, we have to focus on, like, the indie side more. And there are ways to do that. I mean, you can look on Steam pages and stuff like that, but there's also a website that's very popular called itch.io, itch.io. And what it is it's a site that people can post indie games on. And they set their own price on there. And most of them are free. And then, or they're like maybe a demo or a small cutout or like even just a prototype of a game someone's thinking about. And then some of them are paid, but usually they're pretty like reasonable. And you find all sorts of interesting things on there. In fact, I would love, if we could find more time, you know, it's just time is always the problem. I would love to do a whole series where we just pick a couple of the free games or whatever, download them, and try out people's games live, you know, in our like podcast format, and then post them and be like, hey, like, here, we want to get visibility to these people who are, you know, trying to have their dreams come true of playing games. Or
don't let your dreams be dreams.
Don't let your dream. Yeah, don't let your but there's a
So
lot of real.
inspirational.
And I mean, even if like there's a lot of really, really, really unique games. Sorry, I gotta adjust. Games on there and things that you would never find on Steam because they're just like left field stuff. But then you get some like really cool experiences, and these people work really hard on these. So I think that they should get a shout out. So like go check out itch.io. And just start downloading some of these free games, or pay for them if you want. Like, there's just so many interesting and cool things, and most of them are pretty short. So you can like run through, most of them are like game jam games kind of thing, where it's like you could play through the whole thing in an hour or two. So I highly recommend checking that out.
Okay, so I have a lot to say about this topic. You asked one of my favorite questions ever. Thank you for asking. Welcome to the channel. So positivity in gaming is a huge deal. Mental health is and just the world itself have been a little bit crazy, especially since COVID. I know personally, I use video games to help me cope with stress and anxieties, and I know that's what a lot of people look for it too. Positivity, as was alluded to, there's a lot of negative focus in the gaming world, right? Everyone's expecting things faster, better, cheaper. Video games are becoming harder to make, more expensive to make, more demanding with more graphics and rendering and blah 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 blah, so on and so forth. It's an incredibly stressful world, and I agree. It's hard to stay positive. For me, the hardest thing is in multiplayer games. I enjoy multiplayer games, but if I feel like my team is dislikes me or thinks I'm doing a bad job, I do a worse job. I'm like, oh, these people hate me. I don't feel motivated to do good, or whatever. And that, it's not the reality. And so staying positive and looking after your own mental health is a very important part of video gaming. It's an important part of life. As part of the reason we started this podcast is to try to promote a more positive environment for video gaming, especially just how we treat others. And don't get me wrong. In this podcast we criticize games and mechanics, but the point is creating a friendly environment and being able to have criticism and talk about it in a jovial way. When you go in and you play a game with someone, right? I think a lot of people need to ask themselves, like, why are we playing this game? Like, why did I sit down to play games today? Is it because that's just my habit? Am I trying to improve myself at a game? Am I trying to become like a professional player at a game? And I think sometimes people get confused or perhaps like game with people who have different ideas. I think about League of Legends, right? You ask your friend to play League of Legends with you. That's a very unfriendly game to hop in because your friend's going to know what they're doing. The new person is going to be a detriment to the game because they don't know what they're doing. And it creates an incredible amount of stress, and your other teammates are yelling at you. And that's something like I don't like. I think that's a hurdle, and that's a whole nother video. But the point is we all need to look at why we're playing video games. For me, I think a lot of us get caught up in the fact that video games are competitive. We have elos, we have ratings, and we kind of forget that we're here just to have fun. 90% of people playing video games are trying to relax and have fun. You can't convince me otherwise. Other people might say like, hey, I'm trying to be the best in ranked or whatever. And that's great, but like, only the top 1% of ranked people are really going to ever do anything still. So it's like, are we being true to ourselves and realizing that even if you play, whatever, Overwatch at a high level, you're still playing it for fun, right? Are you truly pursuing this? And when you can kind of like break through your mental barriers a little bit, realize you're trying to enjoy yourself, it can help alleviate a lot of the stress of gaming and also kind of take some pressure off you. For example, say you're playing World of Warcraft and your guild is, needing all these supplies and things to do, right? If you're not enjoying contributing to that group, in my mind, the way I work my life, I walk away. If I'm not enjoying the game, I walk away and I come back later. I take a break and I come back
Say
later.
fuck the lemons and bail.
If life gives you lemons, take a break and make lemonade later. No, but the point being is constantly reanalyze why you're even here and doing what you're doing. And video games, I think it's more important than ever. Like I'm saying, I think we've all forgotten why we play games, and it's to have fun. And nowadays, since we have so many video games to select from, we all kind of get caught up in, I know this is the thing that I want to have fun with, and everyone kind of has their own thing, and so we all get a little distracted, and it's kind of a miracle if everyone can come together on one thing for a little bit. So I encourage you, instead of saying, hey, I'm really looking forward to playing this game, try approaching it saying, I'm really looking forward to like enjoying some time with a friend. But you know, it would be great doing that by playing a game. You know, we could hate the game, we could love the game, but the point is we're enjoying something together and we're experiencing it together. Whether you have fun, whether you don't have fun, you guys did it. You know,
that
and
is
to me
literally
that
the
helps a
exact
lot.
mentality we have with had with so long with Sea of Thieves. It's like we're just hanging out with friends, but we're using a video game as that connect,
a virtual
like
platform.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's like as if we were just riding bikes down the street. Like, yeah, we're riding bikes, but we're really just wanting to hang out with our friends. So riding bikes is how we do it.
Now, if you were getting into the serious stuff, like, okay, hey, I'm a Diamond League of Legends player. I want to become a Grandmaster. That's a completely different world. You know, that means like, you know, you that's like learning an instrument. Well, you should practice. You should get a coach. Blah blah blah. There's so many things, but we kind of forget that is not the majority of why most of us play games.
Yeah.
Just have fun, breathe, take what people say with a grain of salt. So, you know, whether it's a review or a comment, and make your own judgments. Those are my 3 things.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to wrap this up there because we're way over time. We try and aim for 45 minutes. We hard stop at an hour, and we're at an hour 5 minutes. So if you've made it this far, we appreciate that you have stuck with the podcast the whole way through.
Thank you.
So we just want to say, you know, thank you. We appreciate you a lot, and that we post new episodes every Tuesday morning. And you can find us on Instagram, Threads, and YouTube at pixelatedrealms.com. Or, nope, just at Pixelated Realms. All right, thank y'all. Bye.
Bye.